Chapter 28. Only one Charlie left. "Which room shall be next?" said Mr. Wonka as he turned away and darted into the elevator. "Come on, hurry up. We must go. We must get going. And how many children are there left now?" Little Charlie looked at Grandpa Joe, and Grandpa Joe looked back at little Charlie. "But Mr. Wonka," Grandpa Charlie called after him, there's only Charlie left now." Mr. Wonka swung around and stared at Charlie. There was a silence. Charlie stood there, holding tightly onto Grandpa Joe's hand. "You mean you're the only one left?" Mr. Wonka said, pretending to be surprised. "Why, yes," whispered Charlie. "Yes." Mr. Wonka suddenly exploded with excitement. "But my dear boy," he cried out, "that means you've won!" He rushed out of the elevator and started shaking Charlie's hand so ferociously it nearly came off. "Oh, I did congratulate you," he cried. "I really do. I'm absolutely delighted. It couldn't be better. How wonderful this is. I had a hunch you know, right from the beginning that it was going to be you. Well done, Charlie. Well done. This is a terrific. Now the fun is really going to get started. But we mustn't dilly. We mustn't dally. There's even less time to lose now than there was before. We have an enormous number of things to do before the day is out. Just think of the arrangements that have to be made, and the people have to fetch. But luckily for us, we have the great glass elevator to speed things up. Jump in, Mr. Dear Charlie, jump in. You too, Grandpa Joe, sir. No, after you. That's the way. And then, now and then, this time I shall choose the button you are going to press." Mr. Wonka's bright, twinkling blue eyes rested for a moment on Charlie's face. Something crazy is going to happen now, Charlie thought, but he wasn't frightened. He wasn't even nervous. He was just terrifically excited, and so was Grandpa Joe. The old man's face was shining with excitement as he watched every move that Mr. Wonka made. Mr. Wonka was reaching for a button high up on the glass ceiling of the elevator. Charlie and Grandpa Joe both craned their necks to read what he has said, a little label beside the button. It said, up and down, thought Charlie. What sort of room is that? Mr. Wonka pressed a button. The glass doors closed. "Hold on," cried Mr. Wonka. Then wham! The elevator shot straight up like a rocket. "Yippee!" shouted Grandpa Joe. Charlie was clinging to Grandpa Joe's legs, and Mr. Wonka was holding onto a strap from the ceiling. And up they went, up, straight up this time, with no twistings or turnings, and Charlie could hear the whistling of the air outside as the elevator went faster and faster. "Yippee!" shouted Grandpa Joe. "Yippee! Here we go!" "Faster!" cried Mr. Wonka, banging the wall of the elevator with his hands. "Faster! Faster! If we don't go any faster than this, we shall never get through." "Through what?" shouted Grandpa Joe. "Well, we have to get through." "Ah!" cried Mr. Wonka. "You wait and see. I've been longing to press this button for years, but I never done it until now. I was tempted many times. Oh yes, I was tempted. But I couldn't hear the thought of making a great big hole in the roof of the factory. Here we go, boys, up and out." "But what do you mean?" shouted Grandpa Joe. "You really don't mean this is the elevator?" "Oh yes, I do," answered Mr. Wonka. "You wait and see. Up and out. But, it's made of glass," shouted Grandpa Joe. "It'll break in a million pieces." "I suppose it might," said Mr. Wonka, carefully as ever. "But it's pretty thick glass, all the same." The elevator rushed on, going up, and faster and faster. Suddenly, crash! The most tremendous noise of splitting wood and broken tiles came from directly above their heads, and Grandpa Joe shouted, "Help! It's the end. We're done for." And Mr. Wonka said, "No, we're not. We're through. We're out." Sure enough, the elevator had shot right up through the roof of the factory and was now rising into the sky like a rocket, and the sunshine was pouring in through the glass roof. In 5 seconds, there were thousands of feet up in the sky. "Elevator's gone mad," shouted Grandpa Joe. "Have no fear, dear sir," said Mr. Wonka calmly. He pressed another button. The elevator stopped. It stopped and hung in midair, hovering like a helicopter, hovering over the factory and over the very town itself, which lay spread out below them like a picture postcard. Looking down through the glass floor on which he was standing, Charlie could see the small, far-away houses and the streets and the snow that lay thick over everything. It was an eerie and frightening feeling to be standing in clear glass, high in the sky. It made me feel that we weren't standing on anything at all. "Are you all right?" cried Grandpa Joe. How does this thing stay up?" "Candy power," said Mr. Wonka. 1,000,000 candy power. Oh, look," he cried, pointing down. There go to the other children. They're returning home."